That was perfectly timed, you guys. Like, I was waiting for the recording to start officially just so that I could say hi. I'm like, I was waiting, and it came on, and so I took a breath, and then y'all said hi. So, good job, you guys. You're better YouTubers than I am. Okay, so we're continuing to talk about the cube root function. Today we're going to be discussing about it in its point of inflection form, the vertex form. This, however, is not the cube root function. It is the cube function. Very closely related, but not the same thing. So there's our cube function. So let's rewrite our cube root function in point of inflection / vertex form. I'm using f of x to mean any old random function because I'm using f for function. So these are not necessarily the same function. F is just kind of in general. All right, so in vertex point of inflection form, the cube root function looks something like that. And this looks really familiar from, almost every single last one of these that we've done so far have this form. The information that's found in this location controls what part of the transformation? Yeah, the vertical compress, the vertical stretch. It also controls what?
The vertex.
The X. The Y. No.
He's like, yeah, I'm just going to keep guessing things until she reacts. Reflection. Oh, you said that and I didn't hear you. So, sorry. I was too busy ignoring it. No, I'm kidding. I heard someone say X, so yes, it's a reflect in X. I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to highlight this thing next. What does that thing control?
Left or right?
Try again?
Up and down.
Up and down. Or a vertical shift. I want you to notice something about the form of this equation. Notice how all the stuff that's dealing with vertical stuff is outside of the parentheses? Okay. All right, so we're coming back in here to this one. What does this control? You were saying left or right, and so what I think you're meaning is horizontal. You're absolutely right. It's some sort of horizontal something. Horizontal what? Good. A stretch, a compress, or a reflex. Yes, ma'am. And as she said, in case you didn't hear her, that reflect is across the Y. What does the H do? Left or right. It is some sort of horizontal shift. All right. Good. Our point of inflection / vertex is going to be located at this point HK. Normally, you're going to change the sign that you see in here, unless when?
Unless there's a negative.
On the inside of the radical, this B. Unless the B is negative. Good. You were right about the negative. We just want to help you find where it belongs. So if the B information is negative, then you're not going to change the sign on the H value. It's going to stay whatever you physically see in the equation. All right. Sliding down, let's practice. We're going to state the vertex, the domain and range. We'll talk a little bit about how it's shifting, all that good stuff. All right, so vertex, the point of inflection is found at where? Okay, I heard -10, -5, but look at the H. It's positive because I don't have anything here reflecting it horizontally. The domain,
Would it be all the numbers?
it is going to be all real numbers, and here's the reason for it. So if I look at my graph, looks something like this. The cube root function looks a little something like that. I've got arrows on either end. It's moving to the left and the right forever, and that thing is very slowly getting further and further away from the Y. So this means that my domain is all real numbers and my range is all real numbers. Remember that if I don't specify how to write it, it can be in either one of these two. Let's talk horizontal shifts. Did it move horizontally?
Yes.
Which direction?
What? Like,
This is
I mean,
to the
what
right.
am I saying?
Mm-hmm. Did it get shifted vertically? Down units, down 5 units, yes. Is there any kind of reflection? None, because I don't have a negative in either the A location or in the B location. Good. Let's write an equation. So here's a description of some sort of transformation, and we're going to write the equation in vertex form, point of inflection form. Here's what that form looks like. We've written all this information up on top, but to recap, this is going to control some sort of reflect in X. It's going to control a vertical stretch or a vertical compress. This here is going to control some sort of reflect in the Y-axis. It's also going to control a horizontal stretch or a horizontal compress. This here is going to control some sort of shift left or right. And this out here controls some sort of shift up or down. Let's look at my description. My description says cube root of X is reflected across the X-axis and the Y-axis. So I have two reflections happening. It is vertically stretched, factor of 4. Shifted left, shifted up. All right, I have all of my colors shown, so my equation is going to look something like this. I'm going to put something there. I'm going to have something here. I'm going to have something here. And I'm going to have something here. Now I've just got to put stuff in. The reflection means that I've got a negative, so the reflections are negative. Vertically stretched by a factor, this tells me what value that particular variable has to have. Now I've got to decide left. Does this left mean negative, or does this left mean that this is going to be a positive in here? It's going to end up being a positive because I don't have anything, so I need to change this to a plus. And then up stays the same. Okay, so I'm going to fill in. My A value in pink had a negative and a 4. My orange value had a negative. We decided that it was going to be this one, so plus 5, and then up 27. And I'm done. That's it. Questions? Take a quick look at the homework. Alright, so I'm really terrible at copy and paste. I had meant for all of this information to appear under each and every single one of the questions. And I derped and left the old information there. I derped. I'm so sorry, it was a really bad derp. So you can either answer the questions as I have provided them, or you can go through and change each of these to answer this information as you see in question number 1. I'll be happy with either one of those two things, but you're going to need this information, at least knowing that it's there, in order to answer the questions 10 through 14. This is not, I don't think this is a correct answer on number 12. Okay, I was just demonstrating. Okay, so I highly recommend that you consider getting all this information for all of the items up here, numbers 1 through 10, though I'm not demanding that you do. Does that make sense? Okay. Some things that I noticed on tests and quizzes, and that was the quadrant that's still kind of confusing a few people. So number 1 always starts on the upper right, and then you're going to go around this way, opposite a clock. Okay?
Sorry, so like if the point is asking for is like on a line.
Okay.
I mean like on the X or Y.
Okay, fantastic. If the point that we're asking for, in this case a point of inflection, if that point of inflection is on one of the axes, it's in no quadrants because it's on an axis. So the best way to answer that would be it's not in a quadrant, it's between these two. So let's say my point of inflection ended up right there. It's on the axis. I would say it's between quadrants 2 and 3, which tells me it's on the x-axis, but it's over here on the negative side. That would be the best way I could think of to answer that. This is a wonderful, wonderful graphic to have on your 3x5 index cards to take into tests and quizzes, so this kind of question doesn't trip you up. Take a quick glance at the back. The back, that's the last example from our notes, the top portion, and the bottom portion is doing the same thing but off of a graph. So I recommend if you're having trouble reading it off the graph, you write out in a sentence the transformation that you see on the graph based off of the parent function. So make sure you remember what the parent function looks like. It's on your notes from day 2. And then use that sentence that you wrote to generate the equation, much like you did in this top portion. Questions? That's all I had. You guys are brilliant. The rest of the day is yours. Thank you.